It's digital, and it shows us everything. Now, what are you looking for with a root canal? You're looking for dark space around it that is the sign of a cavitation, which is basically a hole that's forming in the jaw, that forms around extracted wisdom teeth, it forms around root canals. So a root canal is basically the process of taking the guts out of a tooth and making a, well, for lack of better words, a zombie tooth. And that zombie can stay quiet for a while, but anything dead in the human body decomposes, including teeth. And when that happens, there's lots of inflammation that's caused by that can dysregulate your immune system.
I know Lauren's going to want to dive super into this, but for the
I gave a long answer, right?
No. We're gonna for sure cover and go. We're gonna go into the weeds here.
Right.
For those that are unfamiliar with your work and have never come across you, do you give a brief introduction, who you are, what you do, and how you got into this line of work?
Sure. I'm a biologic, restorative, and cosmetic dentist. I began taking this approach because biologic medicine, which biologic dentistry is a subset of, is really a philosophy of practice, looking at root causes and understanding the sources of toxicity and inflammation in the mouth. And I started that practice in the mid-'80s, and that's why they've called me the father of modern biologic dentistry. I also invented Revitin, and I wrote this book, The Mouth-Body Connection.
I don't think people realize, because I didn't realize, how connected root canals are to other diseases in the body. Can you walk us through what you've seen, because you've seen it all, from a behind-the-scenes perspective?
Yeah, 41 years I'm doing this. So I was like Doogie Howser, came out when I was 12. Everybody's like, you don't look like you're 66.
Yeah.
No, you do look good.
You look good.
So I like to say that, root canals are probably the most notorious procedure in dentistry. It's under a lot of fire right now. And you know what? When I came out of dental school, I thought root canal was a great thing. We're saving a tooth. Like, dentists are in the business of saving teeth. So to tell someone you have an option to a root canal, like a ceramic implant, which is not inflammable. By the way, metal implants, titanium implants, a lot of research that's emerged showing that metal dental implants are inflammatory to the body as well. But root canals are notorious because we used to think, oh yeah, we embalm the tooth. Actually, when I came out of dental school, it was just banned, but they were actually using a formaldehyde material. It was called Sargenti paste to fill root canals, like literally embalming a tooth. And people were getting sick from that. And now it's changed, and there's gutta-percha and different cements and all that. And there are people that do try to clean the tooth out really good, using a laser and bleach and all this stuff to disinfect the tooth. Bottom line is, and what I've come to learn over 41 years, is that it's a flawed procedure because it's impossible to sterilize a tooth. So you're really keeping something in the mouth that eventually will decompose and it turns black, and then they want to put another crown on it. And the worst thing is if any dentist says he wants to retreat a root canal, say, hold on, buddy, or ma'am, but I have another alternative, and that is to remove the dead tooth and to put in a ceramic implant. Now, the future of root canal is getting exciting, right? We're doing stem cells. We're regenerating pulps. We're actually growing teeth with stem cells. That's on the horizon. And so that's the better future, rather than to be, and I have a lot of good friends who are endodontists. They're wonderful guys, and they help take people out of pain. Like, for example, if either of you broke a tooth and the nerve was exposed, you would need a root canal emergency to take you out of pain until you decide to take that tooth out and put a ceramic implant in or some other longer lasting, more predictable treatment.
So people now, instead of doing your course of action, if you could consult someone, if someone came to you, we would say, okay, if you had to absolutely do that, don't go the metal implant route, go the ceramic implant route.
Yes.
If you had to get an implant.
Yes.
So this is a strange question. How often are they prescribing unnecessary root canals?
I'm so glad you asked that question, Michael, because that's really the 800-pound gorilla in the room. There are 42 million root canals done every year.
Wow.
There's over 25 million root canals in the United States alone done every year. Many of those are a knee-jerk response to a patient being in pain, right? Patient has pain in the tooth. Well, you take the guts out of the tooth, you don't feel anything anymore, but you're condemning that tooth to necrosis. And that necrosis will happen over time, and that's what
necrosis
we've seen.
is the inevitable decay and death of that tooth.
Literally, the tooth decomposes in the mouth. I mean, when many times old root canals, when they're extracted, they crumble into a million pieces while the surgeon is trying to remove the tooth out of the mouth. And so when you think about that and what's going on, there are better approaches we have. And I do think, in defense of all my comrades who are endodontists out there and made their living just doing this all day long. And some of them have done, really, it's kind of an art in itself, how to fill the roots of the teeth and everything else. I have to say that there's better approaches, better treatments, and better materials that are coming ahead. And it's all in the world of regenerative medicine. Dentistry needs to move into the world of regenerative medicine.
So you're telling me that this is like $1 billion business where
no, trillions.
Okay, $1 trillion business.
It's about $3,000 for $2,000 to $3,000 for one root canal.
So
now multiply that by 25 million. I even have trouble with the zeros.
Yeah.
So why would they want this to go away if it's $1 trillion business? Well, it sounds like there's a lot of things going on that we're not seeing.
Yes, and to your point. There is a lot of pushback of dentists who say, oh, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. No, they've done studies. There's PubMed studies. You can go online. 100% of endodontically treated teeth, root canal teeth, produce endotoxins, which are bacteria and bacterial byproducts that are inflammatory to the body. So two big things, inflammation, which my book is all about, how to reduce inflammation in the mouth. Because inflammation in the mouth is connected to everything from Alzheimer's disease to premature low-weight babies to preeclampsia in women to impotence in men. I mean, gum disease is the body's #1 source of chronic inflammation, but there's a lot of other stuff that we do in general dentistry that can cause inflammation and toxicity.
It sounds like they would rather make the money than care about the inflammation in your mouth, which is linked to multiple diseases.
Well, that's the story of life, is that there are people that make decisions based on economic gain instead of what's in the best public good. So fluoride is another example of that.
Go off on fluoride. I'm so confused of fluoride. Go off on it. I heard fluoride leads to lower IQ in children. Is that true?
There's over 60 studies from around the world that drinking fluoridated water lowers IQ in children. And these are scientific studies. And what's interesting is that conventional dentistry, especially here in the United States, there are groups that, fluoride, in my opinion, is a 75-year-old public health experiment that's an abject failure. There are non-fluoridated communities, non-water fluoridated communities with lower rates of decay than fluoridated. And fluoride, the studies about fluoride came out like in the 1950s, late 40s, 50s.